Thanks for joining us on the Cultured Meat and Future Food Show. On this episode, we're featuring Guy Crims, where we chat about some of the highest quality meat in the world and bringing cultured meat to the storefronts. Guy Crims, or better known as Guy the Butcher, is a veteran of the butcher business and a legend in the world of Japanese Wagyu. In 2017 alone, Crims was responsible for bringing 4.3 metric tons of Wagyu beef into the US. Crims, a California native, became fascinated with the butcher business when he was 14 after reading The Jungle, Upton Sinclair's novel depicting the American meatpacking industry in the early 20th century. His first job was at a family-owned butcher shop in Pacifica. Crims followed the original owner to a butchery in San Francisco, where he continued to hone his craft. In college, Crims studied architecture, not food, although the two passions merged when he worked on a slaughterhouse design project that advocated for the humane treatment of livestock. He continued to blend both roles as a managing partner at Pape Meat Company and most currently as a managing partner of One Henry Adams, which includes Udon Time, Niku Steakhouse, and the Butcher Shop by Niku. In 2017, Crims was invited to tour Japan with the Japanese Wagyu Beef Committee, the only non-chef included on the tour. There, Crims met Omakase Group co-owner Jackson Yu. Chef Yu enthusiastically introduced Crims to his business partner Cash Feng, who was in the early planning stages of a Wagyu-focused butcher shop and restaurant concept slated for a space at One Henry Adams. As plans started to coalesce, Feng tapped Crims as the master butcher for both the restaurant and the butcher shop concepts. For this episode, we went on site to the Butcher Shop by Niku in San Francisco.
And good morning. Here we are.
Good morning, yes.
We're at the Butcher Shop here in San Francisco, California by Niku Steakhouse.
Tell us first a little bit about your background.
Absolutely.
And a little bit more about where we are right now exactly.
Sounds good. Well, my name's Guy Crims. I was born in San Francisco, up on Parnassus in 1970. I've been in the butcher business since 1984. I read Upton Sinclair's The Jungle when I was 14. Which was a treatise on the mistreatment of humans and animals at the turn of the last century. It was published in 1906. Completely began being fascinated with the industry. Went down to the local butcher shop in my hometown of Pacifica, California in Lindemar, the Adobe Butcher Shop. Little Italian family, the Bergeros. They put a broom in my hand and the rest is history. And here we are today.
Cool. And so there are many different ways to source meat. Can you tell us about maybe what we're looking at right here?
Sure.
And also how or what the highest quality of meat is, and also what Wagyu is, really.
Sure. Well, there's, of course, all over planet Earth, there's definitely a million different sources, million different way of doing things. Highest quality, most expensive, all these things, in my opinion, are extremely subjective. First of all, I'll back up a little bit. What I'm doing right now is I'm blocking out some A5 Wagyu, Toriyama Umami Wagyu, and these are an approximate 6-ounce polished blocks. They'll be going to a customer today for an event for the 4th of July. I'll go forward a little bit on that. Subjective being the highest quality of beef or any other protein item. My personal opinion in this industry is that quality comes out of animal husbandry. You could have, quote unquote, the highest quality product on planet Earth, but if the earth isn't being cared for, or the animals aren't being cared for, or the humans that are producing the animals, really, what do you have, right? There is no anything. There's no heart. There's no soul. So everything in this shop has heart and soul. I've been dealing with some of these farmers, brands, all the way from Japan, each and every item. I know each and every farmer. I've been each and every place sourcing this, as well as all of our domestic products behind all of our USDA Prime Greater Omaha product, all of our domestic Corbota from Sioux City, Iowa, as well as our F1 program, First Generation Genetics, which is a crossbreed of 100% A5 Wagyu bull mated with 100% domestic Black Angus cow. That comes from my friend Greg Mueller's farm in Clarinda, Iowa. That is the domestic Imperial Wagyu. some of the finest domestic Wagyu you'll find. So my personal opinion is back to the subjective part, is that it's about how it is raised. And the key is a lot of people don't understand is the amount of waste that goes. This is from somebody who's been in the business so long. This is probably one of the worst things you can do to planet Earth, is to produce protein. So a couple facts, you'll see a few different numbers getting thrown out there, but I looked a little something up this morning. I had read a book in college called Cadillac Desert. I'm not quoting Cadillac Desert right now, but it talked about production of fruits, vegetables, lettuce, beef, pork, chicken, you name it. But a lot of people don't understand the biggest thing that goes into this is water. So just to give you a little bit of an example here, it takes 1,799 gallons of water to produce 1 pound of beef from birth to death. So that has to do with raising its feed, what it drinks, everything. So think about that. That's 1 pound of flesh. That's basically 1,800 gallons of water just to produce that. So do that, do the math. An animal, when it comes to slaughter, is almost 1 ton. How many gallons of water is that? That's basically 2,000 times 2,000. That's 40,000 gallons, right? Am I doing the math right?
That's a lot of water.
Right? 40,000 gallons of water on a good day. Pork takes 576 gallons of water. The water footprint of soybeans is 216 gallons, and corn is 108 gallons. That is per pound. So kind of interesting. So we go back into the plant-based portion of it. Corn and grains do take a lot of water.
Right.
Also, but in terms of, soybean is a high protein plant source, as we all know. So, but in comparison, I mean, what is that? Quarter? Third? No, I'm kind of babbling right now, but I'm not doing math right. It's too early.
Well, this is a good transition to what we've been seeing a lot of is plant-based meats, Impossible Burger, Beyond Burger.
Right.
What do you think about these products?
I think it's great. It's a great alternative. My oldest daughter, she's 26, 27. She's been a vegan since the age of 13. So she still desires that flavor. It's kind of funny. I think it's innate in us. It goes all the way back millions of years in our evolution. You can't breed that out, but she still has that desire for that meat texture, that meat quality. And I think if those products have been coming out for years and years. We had the garden burger and all these other things. But now it's getting to the point where they're actually starting to taste as good as beef. They have that savory, fatty signature, the scent, the smell, everything we're used to. So,
do you think that's the reason why they're becoming so popular? Is that we are making them taste more like beef?
Absolutely. I think that's what's attractive about it, is because these people do want the choice of not eating an animal,
right?
But they have the ability to do so guilt-free.
Right.
So I think that has a lot to do with eating of protein.
So let's shift gears to cultured meat.
Mm-hmm.
When did you first hear about cultured meat, and what do you think about it?
I heard about it about 25 years ago in National Geographic or Discover magazine. You probably remember, well, you don't remember, you were a little kid, but there was a gentleman in the Netherlands that had started doing this a long time ago. And it's taken this long
right.
to get to here. So I find it very interesting. It's almost like I was talking to my wife last night, I akin it almost to going all the way back to the Carter era and us trying to do alternative energies, wind, solar, electric cars, and it's only now that it's actually in the true American lexicon, because there's money to be made in it.
Right.
And I think that has to do with everything. As long as there's a buck to be made in the United States, we'll do it.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah.
So we discussed some of the problems with traditional animal agriculture, the water consumption.
Correct.
What do you see as potential problems with cultured meat if these products do come to market?
So cultured meat, the only thing that I think is the water signature, where the footprint actually. And what is I don't even know what's the waste product. Where are they dumping this? It's like with the biggest problem with pork production, for example, is all the urine and feces. It's gotten into the aquifers in the Midwest. So we're destroying aquifers that have been around since the last ice age. Not only are we pulling all that water out of there, but now we're putting materials in there that make it unusable. So what is the byproduct of cultured meats, for example? What is it? I don't know.
And actually, that's a great question. I think a lot of people don't know because we're still in the early research and development phases. Industrialization of this technology is something we don't even know if it's going to be more efficient than animal agriculture.
Exactly. And so that's a really big question for me as because in the end, right, you have to sell it. You have to figure out who your market is. And in the beginning, with all technologies, automobiles, airplanes, you name it, televisions, radios, everything that had some kind of technology in the 20th, 21st century, there's always that beginning where the price is so high. But then in the 50s, what happened? Everybody had a TV in their house in a minute when the cost came down.
Everyone has a car.
Right. So there was always that first person or first group of people that actually carried that product. Right? I think we'd like to be the first people to actually say that we have cultured meat. And we know the price. You've seen it out there. You hear it, cultured meat, $1,000 an ounce or $1,000 a pound. Or, because we know that the right now the juice is not worth the squeeze, literally, until the technology gets figured out.
So let's talk about that a little bit. The cuts of meat that we have here, they're some of the highest quality. What are some of the price ranges that we see in
that's a great question. You know, if you want to just ship right to the Japanese Wagyu, we are the largest retailers of Japanese A5 Wagyu in the Western Hemisphere. I've been in the Wagyu game an extremely long time, and with my business partners, a few other people, with our importers and exporters, we pioneered bringing it to the West Coast. Also with that, we buy the most in terms of, we basically buy futures on metric tons. There's only 200 metric tons allowed to come over to this side of the water every year.
Oh wow, it's limited.
We basically purchase about 10 to 15% of that.
Wow.
So we definitely affect, this small place affects the north, basically the Western Hemisphere, the market, buying market. The price range on the Wagyu retail, anywhere from $79.99 a pound all the way up to $350 a pound. And it always, people ask why the price different. It all has to do with the rarity. So some of them, there's 20,000 head produced per year. Other ones, there's only 36 head produced per year. 36 head.
Wow.
It's a big transition.
I mean, rare is the perfect, that's
rare.
Crazy.
So it's rarefied air. You know, one of those things, it's like I always tell people, this front counter is like walking into a Ferrari dealership on the whole shop is, I'd like to say, but the Wagyu case in particular, they all are high performance cars, but people are like very quick to talk about Kobe, for example. Kobe has an extremely, as I was saying earlier, Kobe has an extremely effective marketing program. Up on the wall here, that trophy that's right there, there's only 899 of those that exist on planet Earth. So it's basically a golf membership that you have to pay $5,000 a year for to have the right or the license to sell Kobe beef.
Oh wow.
We are the Omakase Restaurant Group and Top Beef Inc. We own 2 of those licenses. So we basically pay $10,000 a year, so we are allowed to sell Kobe. There's only 3,000 animals per year that are distributed with those 899 licensed purveyors. So we are that. So we can bid on that basically. So, but it is not the rarest. It is the most recognizable. You had mentioned earlier when you walked in today about Miyazaki.
Right.
Miyazaki is one of the most trusted brands of Wagyu in the West, but also in Japan. It's very, it's a high production, but the quality's amazing. But once again, there's other ones that are incredible. My favorite come from southern Japan, from Kagoshima, is Satsuma. It's one of the least expensive in the shop, and I love it. So yeah, we have it all here though.
Wow, that's great. So the clientele for these high quality meats, do you think that they would be interested from a price standpoint, from a perception standpoint, in cultured meat, if you were selling cultured
absolutely.
meat here?
I think that we have the market where, especially with the younger people, with the tech people, they would try it because they'd want to say that they were one of the first people to try it. You got to remember, we're living in a very instant society. Instagram, people walk in the door and they don't look at me as I'm saying hello as an old retailer. They're doing this as they walk in, right? And I go, hi, how are you today? And they're like, yeah. And all they're looking at, we're cooking over here, and they're just doing this. They don't engage the human factor. They want to be the first to have that photo on their Instagram page. They want to be the first person to have tried that, the first person to have tagged that, which I think is great. It's great for us. It's great for social media. That's what Dana deals with on a second-by-second basis. And she's got her thumb on the pulse of the whole omakase restaurant group. She's doing data. She understands all the graphing, who's doing what, which hashtag works, which one's not. All this is based inside this, I'm saying in the cloud, but it's all based in this little tiny thing here. And it's amazing because all of those, the data's in there. You can drag the data. Instagram has it so that you can do it. It's pretty amazing stuff. But the kids are the ones that are going to be interested in this. People my age are going to be like, I'm creeping up on 50. They're going to be like, no. But it's the young people who'll eat it up. And the other thing is too, I'm not saying I don't, they have a lot of disposable income to do new, interesting things. And they're very, very interested in experiences, whether it's a one-time experience or they decide to do it 100 times. So I think that in terms of an experiential thing, they would be 100% interested. I know I would be.
Right.
Yeah.
Cool.
And I will be able to. So I have yet to try it, by the way. Here I've been asked by all these people to talk about this. Not once has somebody come in here and offered me a piece of their cultured product. So I will say this, I am a little disappointed. And that's going to go out to everybody who I'm talking to.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, a lot of the cultured meat companies are here in the Bay
I
Area,
understand.
so we
They're
need
like-
to get them over.
I mean, we can throw rocks. I understand they're pretty close by.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could throw a rock to most of these people. So that's an open invitation to come in and say hello.
Cool. So with cultured meat technology, when you're developing cultured meat, there may be opportunities to make changes in the amount of fat that's in there, maybe the shape, flavor profile, structure, could be anything.
Right.
What would you change if you could have full control over creating a new piece or a new cut of meat?
Sure. First of all, I like honesty. And I think that that's the other thing that social media does, is that you're forced to be honest because you can't hide. Because now the scanscape on planet Earth, everybody's got a phone. I'm not going to get into my conspiracy thing, but guess what? You could literally map this whole area in 3D with every single phone that's just in this 2-block radius right now.
And a lot of the startups around here probably do, right?
They already do. So the thing is why can't we just be honest about this product? Why are we taking, I know that they're taking cells. The last little conference I had with these guys, just a sit-down dinner when we were doing a Wagyu tasting on the other side of town over on 16th a few months ago. They were talking about taking cells out of the fillet, cells out of the New York, which this is, cells out of the ribeye, cells out of the shoulder, just on Wagyu alone, and they're culturing those properties. The thing is that that's where the good flavor is, but you'll never get the chew of that. It's impossible. I shouldn't say it's impossible, but it's pretty impossible to replicate Mother Nature. So why wouldn't you just let the flavor be the flavor and celebrate the texture of that? Because they'll never be able to get those fibers to do that. Because what they're doing basically is they're making these cells, and then it's like tofu, and then they're straining the water out of the cells, and now it becomes like from what I understand, like a little flat cake, right? And they cut that up. So it's basically meat flavored. Well, it is cells, right? I mean, it's the cells itself. So I think my biggest thing of what I'm trying to say here is let the product be the product.
Right.
Don't mess with it. What would be really cool is you could say, okay, we have Japanese A5 Kumamoto block of cells, right? I mean, just say what it is, right? Say what it is.
I think
and then say we have a piece of Black Angus ribeye cells, that these cells came from, like I said, the Imperial Domestic Wagyu came from Greg Mueller's farm. This just happens to be a cultured cell from Wagyu steer number X7A, who was born, in, let's say today, right? What is today? Today's date's the 2nd of July, 2019. But he just happened to be the perfect steer. 15 years from now, we could still be eating his cells. He could be the prize steer. There's the Tajima line for Kobe. They're still using genetics from 15 years ago for crossbreeding and interbreeding these animals. which is really, we're still eating basically the genetics of that animal because of cryogenic technology, right? They're harvesting the sperm, they're artificially inseminating cows, so we're still eating him. And when I said his number's like 8,026 A-C, like it's something like that, right? So wouldn't that be cool? You know,
Right.
I think it'd be cool.
And actually,
you're eating it's like drinking wine or you know a Remy or something like that. It's got some cognac that's got some brandy from the 1700s mixed in, right? So now we have that perfect animal, and now his genetics are 20 years old. I mean, you could even do vintages, right? I mean, you get crazy.
You could get crazy.
Yeah,
and I think
the Japanese do that already. The Japanese do that already.
Yeah.
So it's a maternal line, and I have some of the nose prints and all of their documentation up there. But the genetic line always goes back to the mother. It's some of the lines go back 6, 7, 8 generations, 40, 50, 60, 80 years of genetics. And that's just through good old-fashioned animal husbandry.
Right.
But now we're doing that on a whole nother level. We're doing it in a test tube. It's pretty cool. Or a petri dish, I guess.
Yeah. Well, nowadays the comparison is more to a brewery, like when you're making beer.
Correct.
Because it'll be in larger scale.
Correct.
So
I see it as, I don't know how the technology works, but in my mind, you've seen how they do the blue-green algae and how they do it, those big tubes that are kind of hanging.
Right.
I don't know, is that the same way they do this stuff?
So many startups are doing different things that we don't know what is the perfect method yet.
Right.
So there's actually a company in Japan, and they're growing individual organs, for example, in different areas.
Here's the other thing too, right?
Oh yeah, I mean
that's where it's at.
A huge industry too, outside of just the cuts that
I could use a new liver,
right?
For example.
Yeah, so. and that's where this technology originally came from, from medical tissue culture. So
it's pretty neat. Why not take it to that next level? So can I ask you a question? Why? I mean, I know this is a tech place, but what spurred this in California of all places? Like you wouldn't. It's just we're so touchy-feely around here. You got to remember. I was raised by wolves, as I had said. My dad's a biker, my mom's a hippie. Product of the '60s, but there's always that kind of revolving around, dancing around us, using our canines and our thumbs. And I'm all for care and respect and love of the animal. As you can see around, we display it because of my personal reverence for these animals giving it up. But I'm just very curious why San Francisco is embracing this technology right now. Is it because all these other technologies are being embraced, self-driving cars, of course iPhones, all these other things that are like, well, everybody's working on everything else. Why don't we work on this? I'm asking you.
Yeah.
So.
I think that it's because of the investment dollars that we see in Silicon Valley. And in 2013, years after the original Dutch scientists explored opportunities to do this, another Dutch scientist created the first burger in 2013. The burger cost $300,000 just for one burger, right? But that was funded by the founder of Google.
Right.
And a couple years after that, 2 years after that, the first cultured meat company was actually founded in San Francisco. And then we started seeing a wave of these companies. Cool. That professor that created the first burger ended up creating a company himself. Good. So my answer to you is I think it's just the amount of investment dollars is heavily putting investment into this category. But we're also seeing a lot in Singapore. Singapore is doing a lot for the food system. Like I mentioned, Japan, the company in Japan is working with the NASA of Japan, JAXA, to do it there. So I think it's an exciting time, and we're in a very exciting place too.
So that's the other thing too. I'm going to say something crazy. I'm a real geek. This is the 50th anniversary of what this year? Very geeky. Come on, help me out.
50th anniversary
of something big that is one of the biggest reasons why we're allowed to be here today with cultured meats. Come on, help me out here. You're young.
50.
What did we do 50 years ago that changed the world as a whole?
You lost me on this one.
You just said Japan,
JAXA, NASA, the moon.
NASA. So what did we do 50 years ago?
Were we on the moon 50
yes,
years
sir,
ago?
50 years
was
ago.
that 50 years ago?
50 years ago. All right.
Wow.
So we wouldn't be allowed to have this conversation.
Right.
If it wasn't been all the computers in front of you, all the phones, all this stuff.
Yeah.
We wouldn't even be able to dream this stuff up. Look how far we've come in 50 years.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It's my lifetime.
Yeah.
Right? I was born in 1970. It's kind of weird to think that now, you'd go down and talk to, Bob the butcher at the local shop. He had a cigarette hanging out of his mouth, cutting a steak, talking about your wife and kids, which we still do, not with the cigarette, and we do all that. But the thing is, now we're talking about cultured meats, right? And that's the other thing too. We're going to be doing a whole bunch of space travel. We're going to be going to Mars, some of the outer planets here soon, but mostly Mars, right? We got to have protein. We're going to be doing this there too.
We're not shipping
shipping.
Yeah, we're not shipping a cow over there, right?
But we could bring cells on a small level. We have water on Mars, right? Locked up in planetary ice that's on the poles or underground, as they're saying. And guess what? We have protein.
Yeah.
We have plant-based protein, and we also have animal-based protein. So it's a big deal.
Yeah.
It's really cool if you start to think about the implications of what it is. So yeah, because we will be farming on Mars. Maybe within your lifetime, not mine. I'll be dead and gone. So
we'll see what kind of farming that is.
Yeah. Well, that will be the farming will be in a that kind of situation.
Yeah.
So I think.
So 2 more questions.
Yeah, please.
For someone who's interested in getting into food technology, food industry, food tech, what advice do you have for them?
I think that's really good. I personally think that you can come at it from a million different ways, but I always feel that you have to get your hands dirty first. You have to get in it. You have to get in the kitchen. You got to get in the butcher shop. I mean, it's not just about the love of something or the interest, but you have to know. You have to know. I'm not saying you have to be in the butcher business for 30 plus years like me, or you have to be a chef for this, but you really need to get in the trenches to understand. And that's how you have to do your homework, I think. And that's the thing, like, with this very interesting tipping point that we're at right now, which we're discussing today, is that the people that are in the laboratories working on it definitely need to get out and see what the actual implications are in the end. What's the end user? What is the point? What are we doing? Are we thinking about this shop, for example? This would be one of the first places they could possibly ever even thinking about taking their technology from San Francisco, California, and actually displaying it here. They're not going to take it to Safeway, I'm sorry, Albertsons, Whole Foods. I'm not throwing people out, I'm not throwing them under the bus, but it has to be a boutique. You would have to do it at Cartier to sell it. Especially we're talking about that one hamburger at $300,000. We know it's not going to be that, but who is your target market and how long? It's Moore's Law, right? They're developing the technology now. And I'm not your regular butcher. See, I know what Moore's Law is, okay? They're developing the technology now to get it out there. This is going to be 10 years down the road before they have a marketable product.
Right.
What are they going to do in the meantime? And how long is that funding going to sustain this? Billions of dollars worth of money is going to get funneled into this before they even have a product that can come to market, right? So they got to keep the buzz going until that happens. So that's my opinion. In the meantime, I think it'd be pretty cool if they had somebody selling that product, on a very limited basis.
Well, hopefully you'll see it before 10 years time.
Yeah, well, maybe you could help me get it here,
Cool.
Yeah.
So, awesome. Thank you so much. So you can learn about Guy Crims on Instagram at Guy the Butcher, and the butcher shop in San Francisco at www.nikubutchershop.com. Are there any last words that you might have for our listeners?
I just want to tell you guys thank you for coming out. Dana, thanks for setting this all up for us. It's a lot of fun. I think that hopefully you guys understand that Alex here that's interviewing me today and the guy on the other side, Guy Crims here, is that it's a different kind of attitude that we bring to the table. And I think that we have an association, the two of us, with something that's very new, very exciting. We haven't even scratched the surface. These aren't even baby steps yet. And I think that it's really wonderful, and I feel honored that you brought me into the fold on this. And I hope this is the last time we talk, and I hope I see some of your people come in here, because you say you guys are really geeky and passionate about these cultured meats. Well, guess what? I think you found your match on both sides. So let's try to work together here. And it's about the future, because you guys are the future. I'm not. I got if I live 2 more weeks, I'll be all right. So thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
All right. That was awesome.